Yo, what's good? It's been Fire here, back from the video, and today we're going to be hopping into another defense in College Football 25. Today we're going to be going over the double mug formation once again, and we're going to be showing you guys one of my favorite ways to run this particular defense. It's going to be out of a Tampa 2 cover 2 shell, and we are going to turn it into one of my favorite concepts, which is a cover 3 cloud defense. If you guys are new to the channel, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel down below, and let me know what you guys want to see next. I'm always open to new ideas. A few of you have actually brought suggestions to me in the past, and we've gone ahead and made a video on it the very next day. So feel free to drop what you guys are thinking about. I'm looking to make a new ebook as well, so those would be much appreciated suggestions. So we are in just Alabama's defense. Nickel double mug is in too many defenses for me to go over, but yeah, so what we're going to do is go to the Tampa 2. Obviously, we can use safeties at the linebacker position if we want. That's okay. Now, these guys are going to be in coverage in the middle for this particular setup, but obviously you just probably want to match it with your normal nickel double mug personnel because we do want to use this almost as a bluff blitz. We're not going to run the blitz out of this particular play, but we want to use it to our advantage. Now, offensively, I don't love this Utah playbook that we're actually facing, but, you know, it'll have to do, I guess. Let's flip it. So, as far as your coaching adjustments, we'll leave everything on default for now. If something changes, we will let you know. But let's go ahead and just have auto flip on, and then we'll again have those zone drops just at the default. If we want to change them, we can. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and press our defense, and then we're going to pinch the D-line and slant inside. So it's going to look like this, but we're going to have the coverage guys. So I mean, the first setup is just to run classic cover 2, which is not going to be a terrible defense, of course. You're going to have options. I mean, really, not much is open against the default cover 2 besides the flats. Now, obviously, there's a few weaknesses of cover 2, and one of the main ones is going to be the sideline. So if we really try and open up this player over here, X, you can sometimes hit him on the sidelines. Now, it depends on how the safety's playing. Obviously, we do have Bama. We have some higher level zone coverage players. But let's say they try and put like a streak in the middle. I'm just going to spy everybody to see if we can get time, just to try and like show you guys. We'll press, and then we'll fade him. So we have someone up the middle. Then you can like sometimes hit him on the side. You guys know the weakness of cover 2. You can beat him on the sidelines. Now in this case, he's playing it well, but it's either going to be up the middle or it's going to be by the sidelines. So there's a few ways that we can counteract that. I don't know if the tight end was open, but I'm assuming he got decently open. Regardless, if the setup is done correctly, like out of verticals, out of bunch, the sideline would be open and then the middle would be open. So, kind of with those being the two weaknesses of the defense, we are going to go through here and try and turn it into our cover 3 cloud. The way we're going to do that is double tap Y, press X up on the left analog stick like so. Double tap Y again, L1, and right on the left analog stick. And then that's going to put X in a curl flat. It's going to put L1 in a curl, or X in a outside third. That's going to put L1 in a curl flat, and then Y is going to go on the inside third, which is going to look like this. So this is all you really have to do for the cover 3 cloud total. Now, it depends on who you want to user, because again, we have cover 2 on the right, we have cover 3 on the left. So it really depends. How is your opponent playing? I usually will like to user this player on the right, but you don't necessarily have to. Also, something for this defense is that you kind of want it to be on the wide side of the field. So you see how we're closer to this right hash on offense. That means that we have more space to the left. So we would want the cover 3 to be on the left side where we have more space to operate as an offensive player, just because we want that to be defended. On the right, I don't really have as many worries about getting beat deep to the sideline, so I'm okay leaving my cover 2 when there's less space over there. So let's say we want to do that. We can put X, this linebacker here, in a hook curl. Obviously, there's a few other things we'll talk about that we can do, specifically to stop like QB runs. Could we contain? We could as well. But for now, we'll leave it on default and we'll run it like this. Obviously, we're going to use this player, and here's a look at the player art once again. snap the ball, boom. Coverage is going to be solid. Now again, you could set those curl flats to like a 10-yard default. Once he shows that he's maybe going over the top more, that's when you can maybe move it back up to a 15. But overall, this is going to be a solid first setup. And I'll show it again. Press X on an outside third, L1 in a curl flat, Y in an inside third. We go ahead and pinch the D line. We slant inside, and then we just put X in a hook curl. Default setup. Now we'll run this again, and then we'll talk about some of the other adjustments that we can do. Now again, players can get open. That's a difficult window to throw into, and this is a very particular setup. But could they complete passes? Yes. It's not a perfect defense. Now what you're expecting, and the reason why this defense could work a little bit better than some of the other than if you just came out and run this play every down, is because they're expecting pressure. They're worried about the blitz. So you being able to use that to your advantage is going to be key, because they're worried about the blitz. You can bluff them with this coverage, and you get really good stuff on the back end. Their setup is probably built for heavy man coverage beating routes, and this zone is going to do a good job of taking that away. So the first difference that we can do in this play that I kind of like doing is going with an outside quarter on the left instead of an outside third. I feel like the quarters are very more aggressive. They tend to be a little bit better against corner routes, things like that. So you can use that to your advantage, in my opinion. And then the other thing that we can, of course, do is incorporate some man coverage. Now, if we were going to man anyone up, we would want to man up this player. If I want to man up R1, or let's say the tight end is on a crosser, the setup looks like this on offense. Sorry, I'm trying to... Why can I not view... Okay, so like the setup looks like this. Tight end is going on a lot of in-breaking routes, whatever. So we could maybe man up the tight end like so. And then we could honestly put one of these guys back in coverage, vert hook over here. So you could go with a 3-man rush and probably still be okay. Now again, let's say R1 he's killing you on high-low reads like a quarter. Now you're not going to get good blitz pressure or good pass rush when you rush 3. It's to be expected. Now let's say he's kind of torching you a little bit with a corner route or something. We run the same setup. Maybe we man up R1. We put X in a curl flat over here. You could honestly still, if you wanted to, you could blitz X up the middle. You could run it like this. This is obviously going to put a little bit more pressure on your user in the middle of the field. But you could still get quick pressure. Sometimes you see those guys kind of trying to shed. They don't do an amazing job at it, but they were actually trying to. Like, take a look at this little loop we get from the D-line and the linebacker. Creates a little bit of glitchy sheds, but now you have man coverage. We still have this guy over here defending the flats. Over here is defended by our cloud flat, and then we take this backside drag with our user. So that is one of the more creative ways that you can do it. Now, if you wanted to go with a double Mabel look, feel free. Now, if you're going to go with something like this, you are going to want shade outside. And then I would probably still go extrovert hook. So you're going to want this player playing up the middle. Alexander, you're going to want someone in the middle of the field, right? So this would be a good setup. I'm going to set my zone drops for this particular setup, but I would go curl flats a little bit deeper. So we're going to go curl flats to about 25 yards, and we'll just leave our flats at about 5 yards. So again, we'll come out in the Tampa 2. And this PA zone shot actually has some of the good fades that I was talking about that would kind of be a normal cover 2 defense. So let's run our stock Tampa 2. That is what I'm talking about with like the weakness of the defense being the outside. So that's a good way to counteract it. Now, and that's why we go with the cover 3 cloud adjustment, because it's honestly the same over here on the right side, but on the right side there's a little bit more space. It's a little bit tougher to hit that pass. Most people are generally going to be looking for the wide side, and if they're reading it left to right. Now, could it still work? Yes. These fade routes are uncommon. Not a lot of formations actually have the default ones, and you saw that when we put them on the regular fade routes, they weren't doing as well. So it's not necessarily a reason for panic, especially because we're not sitting in cover 2. He is not going to be expecting it. Again, I like to preface that you're not going to be running this play every down. You're going to be mixing it between your cover 4s and your man blitzes, of course. Now, let's go with the double Mabel adjustment. That's going to be L1 on a curl flat. I would again put X here in a inside third, and then I would throw the XD lineman in the vert hook. So here is a look at your coverage. Again, we have a double Mabel. Double Mabel is going to be good. And let's just put together a little bit of a setup here. Again, I like this one, corner route. Now, could you flip them? You can. It's just a little bit, I would obviously prefer the cloud flat to be the deeper guy. But when you do that, you have too deep on the right side. Like he's playing too deep over there. So now R1 is a lot tougher throw. He maybe moves on. Now, we're not going to get any pressure, but you get the fumble, and he picks it up, and he laterals it. And we pick it up, and we lateral it. Regardless, I am a fan of that setup. Double Mabeling is a little bit risky, but let's say you want to do it on the other side. Could you play a coverage even aggressive like this? Curl flat over here. I could man up this player. We have these cloud flats on low, so this is a good way to counteract it. The curl flats are deep, so if he's running a setup kind of like we just showed, actually, like this is not a bad setup. And you could blitz, of course, you could blitz the inside backer, or you could leave him on whatever you want. But now we have really good coverage. And our flats are giving up a little bit, but if he's running a setup like trips, I don't hate that setup, or any kind of a bunch where there's one wide receiver on the side. That's a good setup. Anyways, if you guys did enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel down below, and peace. I'm out of here.